Welcome to a new anime review series. This is the first part of my review for this particular series. My First Girlfriend is a Gal. Yes, that is the name of the series. It was on the air in Japan about a few years ago. Yes, I'm watching English stuff for you. Probably thinking, wait, why am I sounding so very hesitant? Because this is one of the most strangest series I have ever watched. It's got gorgeous animation, which I give high praise to as animation. Made by a series company called Naz. Yeah, series there from July to September of 2017. Yep. The main story of the series is this. A very shy teenage boy named Junichi asks a smoking hot teenager, basically a beautiful woman, who is a gal, and you're probably thinking, wait, when you look at the way this character looks, is this character's lifestyle remind you of an extreme feminist? No, it doesn't. From when I looked it up, this has nothing to do with feminism at all. This is a completely different lifestyle. It's something popular for daughters of rich businessmen, basically having hair colored multiple colors, very loose socks. Apparently, it's inspired by Baywatch and a little bit 80s style. It's basically like retro 80s, which is fine. And that's all it is, just retro 80s. The main female lead of the series, her name is Yukana. She's voiced by Jay Marciani. Yes, a woman who's had controversy with Vic Magnolia recently. Actually, last year she did, where she kind of caused him be fired from Vic Magnolia be fired from Viz Media due to allegations of sexual harassment. Yeah, I don't know if that's really true or not. There's never been proof of this at all. It's just basically their word against his. Yeah, but I'm not going to discuss any further than that because the whole thing was nothing much, in my opinion. A bunch of other nonsense. Yep. Now, Vic Mignola himself has nothing to do with the series. And now Jay Marcin, the way she voices the character, the female lead of the series, he like and the studio who made the series, yeah, only 6 years ago, and it's only adapted. This is only the third series they did. Yeah, third series, and they done see 3, 4, 5, 6, basically that's it. Yeah, that's really it. Yeah, another studio which basically haven't done all that much, though they're still basically smart content. And is it just me, or is I'm come across another series basically where the company based on very now, now there's people for the first episode. You have Rengo voiced by Morgan. Here's kind of thinking about this character. I looked at basically who she voiced, like, oh, yes, I do remember her. Yeah, this is the same woman who voiced the character Sol Marion from the series Black Clover. Yep, same woman. Character here, similar to her, very similar appearance. I think the only slight difference between the two of them is that this woman, Renko, has got a bigger chest than Sol does. Though that who appears just initially in the first couple episodes. She's absent for episodes 3 and 4. She just finally returned for episode 5 with a complete makeover. I'll talk about that in a minute. She's Ludena. I've heard of different voices. Who is a woman who's, let's just say she's kind of basically got a small chest. Yeah, why am I saying something like this? Because that's how basically they describe her. And she basically is a very manipulative woman, and she's voiced by a woman by the name Alison Ferrari. Now, those of you who have watched the Case Closed English dub, this is the same woman who voiced Conan Eogawa in the English dub. Yes, Conan Eogawa, a little boy, is voiced by a woman. Nothing unusual here. It's very voice. Yep. Basically, a few other characters. You have Sampy, a blue-haired guy, him, along with Koga, and Minoru. Yeah, three perverts. Who now Jinichi is not technically a pervert, though he does describe some stuff, and basically he's embarrassed to sort of hang out with them. He refers to as loser friends, which I'm like, ugh. When I hear that, I'm like, are we really still using that term in the 21st century? Really? I thought this was a term from the previous century. Now, the school I went to, I did not suffer through this at all, mainly due to the fact that I went to a private school. So, and plus, I was popular. So, wasn't called a loser. Yeah, though I should point something out about Memento. Oh, wait, guy. And the guy is a freaking pedophile. Yeah, he likes little girls. Oh yeah, when he sees Nene, he refers to her as a grandma because she's older than what he wants. Why the heck they actually wrote this character this way, I have no idea. This whole thing with little girls. This series is written by Margaret Nito. I'm this person. Yeah, but the whole thing him obsessed with little girls, it pops out a couple times in the episodes. It's not really a driving force. Why the heck they allowed this character to be in the English dub? Now they mentioned about this. It's not. It's kind of a driving force character. Why the heck he has things for little girls? I have no idea. I'm like, he's a teenager. Why not hang out? Why not basically fall for women who are around this age? Why fall for little girls? This makes absolutely no freaking sense at all. When I saw this and the fact he was blushing at a little girl in a way that how a guy would blush at a woman around his age was complete disgusting. This character, in my opinion, is one of the most worst characters I have ever seen in an anime. I don't know how the heck that they couldn't just change him to where he wasn't a freaking pedophile. Yes, this is by far one of the most dumbest things I have ever seen for an anime. And yet, he doesn't really appear very much. And his whole thing is not really there. It's basically there as, I wouldn't say this is a gag. This is a minor thing for the character. I kind of wish if they would adapt this, if a studio would adapt, they saw this and you see this character as a pedophile. Here's kind of thing. I would not adapt that portion of the character. I would basically change it where he likes being friends with little girls, not where he's obsessed with having sex with them. Yes, that is seriously what this guy is. Yes. This is a character. Now, his other two guys, no problem with these characters at all. I mean, they might be perverts, but they at least are decent people. Yes. Though I think of the three of them, Senpai is more of a decent character. Yeah. First episode is simply put this. The main character arrives at school, basically, and hangs out with his loser friends. And they are perverts, and they openly read porn magazines in the middle of a freaking classroom. Now, here's kind of the thing. I would not be reading a porn magazine. And also, if I was going to a high school, I would not bring this thing to freaking school. I would bring like manga or I don't know, a comic book. Though I'm not in high school anymore. It's been 13 years I graduated from high school. Then you're probably thinking, wait, why are you watching a series featuring high schoolers? About 90% of the anime I watched featured basically characters who are high schoolers. It's not really a big problem at all. And have I watched series where characters are actually around my age? Yes, I have. A handful of series. As a matter of fact, if you look at, let's say, what's a good example of a series basically character on my age? What I have watched, there's Toriko, there's obviously Goku from the series Dragon Ball Z. Well, there's Naruto currently, he's basically the same age I am. And this is currently in the actual Boruto series where he's the same age as me. So basically there's a few of them, but not every single one basically features high schoolers. Yeah. But if you look at, let's say, now, pretty much now, Yonko, but she's person, she just basically just walks in the classroom, and she basically usually seen with her sweater tied around her waist. Yeah, in case you're wondering, this is not a lifestyle choice for gals. This is something that even I would do, basically, when I was younger. Like, if it was too hot, I would take a jacket off, tie it around my waist. I would occasionally do this when I was in high school. Yeah, it's nothing unusual to do this. It's perfectly natural to do this. Though she wear it a little later, and because it's Japan, they have to wear school uniforms. I did hear something about a few years ago. I think it was actually it was a while ago, about almost 10 years ago. There was actually plans, believe it or not, for public schools where they were going to be demanding to wear school uniforms. Here's kind of the thing. No student obey this at all because every single student will realize, though, wearing a school uniform in a public school is complete nonsense here. Private school is perfectly fine, but in public school, no thank you. Yeah. I went to a private school, I was wearing a uniform. Our uniform wasn't simply like what you think of for private school. Think private school. I wear a shirt and tie. No, not necessarily. I wore a polo shirt a lot of the time, and I had to wear khaki, gray, or navy blue pants, black shoes, and black belt. That was my attire. This was my attire for basically for a couple days during the week, couple other days basically with PE day, which I wore a t-shirt. Middle of the week, I used originally was basically the shirt and tie, and then they got rid of that toward the end basically before I left, and I don't know if they ever got back to it or not. So there. And pretty much in this episode, because the fact it was hinted at that Jurichi basically has got a thing for Yoko, and their friends want them to ask her out, and basically plants a love letter in her frickin' locker. Maybe up later, he gets on his knees, begs her to go out with him, and after some teasing, she agrees. And he's actually quite surprised with it. Yep, the very next episode is the first date. Though before the first date, she publicly announces that they're dating. Yep, as of one day prior, they're dating. Everybody's like so shocked, even his friends basically call it shoulder. So, what's the first date? Karaoke. Yep, not the first series I've seen basically for anime where it features characters going for karaoke. Well, Case Closed has done this a couple times, so it's nothing unusual there. Aside from that particular series, I can't think of any other series where they actually went karaoke. That went to a karaoke joint. Which was fine, and there was basically very much of him basically love. One thing I was not really a big fan of this series, from what I've watched these 5 episodes so far, is the guy's inner thoughts. Yeah, a lot of the time I thought these were really kind of dumb, and they went way over the top with this, like 3 different guys controlling his mind and controlling his perviness. Yeah, apparently the perverted guy is simply like this monster who's who's all black and white, has got underwear on his head. I'm like, okay, this did not exist when I was reading the manga for the series. Yeah, it's based on manga. It started about 5 years ago. Yeah, this is completely made for the show, and it's a minor gag. And after they finish up at the karaoke bar, at the end of the episode, we introduce to Renko. Yep. And the very next episode, a love letter is planted in his locker. Basically, kind of what happened in the pilot episode, though he thinks it's from Yonko. Nope, it's Renko, who proceeds to basically try to have sex with him. By the way, she does this twice. Yep. And she gets on top of him. No, they don't do anything at all. And first, Yonko's like, we've been dating for like a couple days and you're already cheating on me? He's like, no. And it turns out, nope. Yeah, sure, she knows who this is. Let's introduce each other. He says, hey, he's my boyfriend. Get off him. Yep. And then they go shopping. Now, I should point out, though, the store they go to is a real life store. Yes, this is a real store. I have looked it up when I was looking at the information about what a gal is. Yeah, this is a 109 store, basically. From what I can tell, it's a real store in Japan. And they went shopping there. Of course, she didn't buy anything. And then, of course, I think it was the end of the second episode, I think it was, where she asked to see his house. She never went inside, of course, not until the following episode, where he comes home after basically shopping. Renko's there, and basically she wants to go in his house. They do, and then she tries to take away his virginity. At one point, she even tries to force Matt by basically ripping open his shirt. His t-shirt, mind you. Like how Eureka basically comes in. Doesn't he? And of course, he tells her that, yeah, Yunko's dealing with me, so back off. This comes also into play, 2 episodes, this one. Yeah. So, yeah, basically, she realizes, though, that he'll never cheat on him. Yeah, he doesn't have the guts to. Yeah, that's what Renko decides. And, of course, they do hang out with him for the next 2 episodes. The following episode, Yuri basically decides to do something. Decides to sort of ask some help with some stuff. Take him to a cafe, they have a conversation, where she proceeds to record. Now, it's not mentioned here, it's not mentioned later, that she actually recorded the conversation. Yep. And of course, since she basically realized he knows about the online girl who he he thinks is actually her, well, because of the same face, to converse with his friends, Renko somehow overhears this, like, hey, why don't we make friends together? And they jump off like they're on the roof, and of course she keeps treating him like her own lapdog, and it's called like a dog. And then of course Reiko comes in and jumps over. She basically is like perfectly fine. The other guy's like, like now normally if you do this, this would actually hurt. Basically how far they're jumping. Basically they're jumping like maybe about 10, 15 feet on the ground on top of this little entrance to the roof. Yeah, because the Japanese anime, why not have every single conversation, and this of course in modern Japan, mind you, always have a conversation on a high school rooftop. This is perfectly standard. It's been seen in, like, for me anyways, every single Japanese anime that features a high school. Why not have a conversation on a rooftop? In Inuyasha, they had a freaking battle on top of a freaking rooftop. Yep, because it's Japan. Though here in the U.S., the high school here, you can't exactly go to the roof at all because it's not like 3 stories like it is some high schools I've seen in animes that take place in, well, they're set in Japan. High schools are not 3 stories here. Well, not the one where I live anyways. Here it's actually 1 story, so there's no reason to go on the roof. They might go for the middle school, but not for the high school. Yep, and of course, Renko confronts her about the online girl thing. And she's like, how'd you know about that? We'll keep it a secret if you give him the chip. And of course he gives the chip, and well, of course, Irina is like, yeah, he says he's over heels for him. And that's it for that episode. Episode 5, Nanao, who showed back in episode 1 and 2, who disappeared for a couple episodes. She returns here in gal form, which of course Jurichi doesn't recognize her at first. Basically, she broke into his house, and the way that he kind of woke up seeing her, he was dreaming about his girlfriend, and he thinks he was grabbing to his girlfriend's breast in the dream. In real life, though, he was grabbing Nanao's breast, and like, what? And this one basically dressed up like her. Like, and of course mentions like, oh, you, my childhood friend. Why change your look? Because she wanted to. So she kind of like roping up, basically holding his arm. There's a mention here about basically her breast, basically resting on his arm. Yeah, believe it or not, that's happened to me a couple times. Look at my female coworker has done that to me, unintentionally, of course. That it was just by sheer accident. That just happened. So yes, it has happened to me, where a woman's breast is basically rubbing against my arm. It happened when I was a cashier at McDonald's. It's happened to me a couple times, and it's actually, I don't have a really big problem with it at all, because it's just by pure accident, not done by purpose, mind you. I'm not really touching them. It's just the breast touched my arm. So it's happened to me a couple times. So there's that. I'm not going to mention who did this to me. It's just like my female coworkers, and that's me just by pure accident. Yep, so there's that. And of course she meets up with his friends, and meets up with Yuriko later when they're having lunch, and then they have this weird. Now, Renko, I forgot to mention though, in her episode, right after they of course introduce each other, she basically proceeds to grope Yuriko. Yeah, for some reason, yeah, grope her, basically her breast. I'm like, okay. And she's like, at first she doesn't have really a problem with it, and then she's like, stop it. Because, well, they basically these two comment each other's breast size for some reason, because that is a popular topic in anime. Women love talking about their frickin' chest size. Yes. I'm not kidding. This is a recurring gag that has basically popped up in almost every anime I've watched that features women who talk to each other. Yeah, it's one of two topics I've talked about. They are talking about, they love talking about guys they think about cooking, but the first topic they talk about, they argue about the breast size. I'm not kidding, they seriously do. So, yeah. Then they have this weird moment, basically, where they're comparing chest sizes, where Yuriko and Nene just rub each other's breasts against each other, and then Renko basically does this because she just wants to join in. This lasts for about a couple minutes. Reggie's like, what the heck is this? It's like he's going freaking nuts over this. And then she leaves because she finds this gross, and then she walks off. And then next time you see her, of course, Georgie's in bed, fully clothed, mind you. You see her crawling through his covers. Of course, she broke his house again, and she's completely naked. Why? Because she wants to have sex with him. He turns her down, she gets dressed, and then, of course, the very next day, and of course, well, Yuriko basically thinks that her friendship with him is kind of like a sister act. Basically treats her like Junichi's little sister, even though they're not really related. And they kind of basically share him in a way, but Yenta is basically his girlfriend. Mm-hmm. Yuka. Mm-hmm. Yep. Also, when they call her Yami, basically, is referred as Yami-san. Yeah, that's what basically how it translates. How well it comes to her phone. Also, how did they get her number, mind you? Yeah, this is quite hilarious. Apparently, not long after he asked after she agreed to be his girlfriend, he's like, "Give me your phone," and she proceeds to give him his number, just like that. And I thought this was so hilarious. And then the very next, this happens in episode 2, mind you. And then she sends him a sexy selfie pic. I'm like, wow. And of course they mention it's like, yeah, I found that cute. I'm like, damn, man. Your girlfriend just sends you a sexy selfie. That is freaking awesome, in my opinion. Though I don't have a girlfriend, so I can't exactly say if I have experience with that. Yep. But as for these episodes overall, first episode, I do agree with the criticism for the first episode. It is odd and kind of ridiculous. Though by episode 2, it does look a little bit better. Yeah, but I think when it hits a stride was with episode 3, when Renko gets part of the story. That's basically what starts gets interesting. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but not much else to say about these 5 episodes. Pretty good. So yeah, that's it. Before I end it, you probably can so what are the episodes for things? Yeah, it's like, okay, some of these like make perfect sense. The last one, I'm like, what? Okay, the first episode, first time begging for it. Second episode, my first karaoke. Yeah, it's my first whatever title. 3, my first sprayed on girl. Renko's a sprayed on. It's basically a sprayed on tan. 4, my first serious gal. Number 5, and I kid you not, this is the title of the episode, episode 5. My first half-assed girl. I am not kidding. That is seriously the name. That is the title for these episodes. At these 5 episodes I just named. Mm-hmm. I will talk about more interesting stuff happening in the very next 5 episodes when I talk about that in part 2. Part 3 will be the OVA and my final thoughts on the series. Yep. So that's it for this particular review. I don't know if I'll get time to do part 2 tonight. I might get a chance to do it tomorrow, along with Return of Ruby. Yeah, I'm going to go back to do that series. First time in a couple months. Why? Because I feel like finishing up the series. And my thing basic right now, as soon as I finish one series, I do one season of Ruby. And I go back and forth between every series I do. And we're doing this for every, I'd say next 5 series I'll do. Like every time I finish a series, basically, I do one season of Ruby, and then I also do 2 Case Kills films. Yeah, that's basically what I'm going to do. I'm not going to review what series I'm going to do next until after I get to once I get to the OVA. That's when I'll review what series to do next, okay? So, until you see the next video. Bye.